what you are, what you want to keep in mind for preparing for is if you have a situation where you have no electricity, you have no running water, and you don't have any transportation. Usually that would be because there's no gasoline available. Okay. So what would you need to survive in a situation like that? And I always like to say it's good to have 3 months supply. But if that's too much, if that makes you freak out, just think about 1 week. What do you need to survive for 1 week? Okay, so let's take a look at this list here. Food and water. Number one thing, food and water. Okay, so here's what I suggest. Starting right now, today, tomorrow, every single time you go to the grocery store, get some extra food, okay? And not food that needs to be refrigerated, because if you don't have electricity, then you won't be able to get to, don't go out and buy frozen dinners, okay? So what I suggest is things that are really easy to store and then to prepare. So cans of soup. That's probably the best thing. But if you are going to rely on lots of canned food, then you've got to also make sure you have a way to open those cans. So be sure not to think you can use your electric can opener. So you also need to have a manual can opener. Then you need some way to cook and heat up your food. Okay, so if you have an electric stove, then it's a good idea to have a little camp stove, and then make sure that you have enough fuel for it. Okay, so simple things starting now. Be sure and get a little bit of extra food. Okay, it would have been great to start doing this prepping like this a couple of years ago, but if you haven't, don't freak out. God knows where you are. He's got a plan for you. Start now. Now you have no excuse, because now you're hearing me. Okay, then even more important than food is water. Because think about notice how much water you go through in a day. So if you have no running water, you're not going to have any of that. So you're going to need a lot of water. So every time you go to the store, get at least a couple of jugs of drinking water. Store it all over your house. Put it in your closets. Put it underneath your beds. Make sure you have lots and lots of potable water. Okay, next, medications. If you take medications, if you need medications to survive or to live or to be okay, if you're in an emergency situation, it's very likely you will not be able to get those medications. So if there is any way possible, start stockpiling some extra medication, whatever it is that you need. A generator. Okay, this is a more expensive thing on this list, but there are lots of generators that you can get, gasoline-powered generators that you can buy like at Menards or hardware stores for $250 or a little bit less. Okay, so I know that's a big expense for some people, but if at all possible, it will be good to have some sort of generator, and then make sure you have enough fuel for it. You can also get solar-powered generators, which are great. Heat. If you are in a place where it gets really, really cold in the winter, then you're going to need some kind of heat source. If you are in a situation with no electricity, no heat in your house, in order to survive, got to have some kind of heat. So what I recommend is a little propane heater. So just like a little space heater that you need to get, make sure you have some propane on hand as well. Pet supplies. If you got pets, your pets are going to need food and water as well. So in an emergency situation. All right, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this one because I don't want to get in trouble from the powers of YouTube. But keep in mind that you may very well need to protect yourself. So that's all I'm going to say about that one. Bartering items. Okay, so it is very likely, I think, that we may experience a crash of our financial system. And if something like that happens, then your dollars are not going to mean anything. So now a lot of us are not in a position to go out and buy a bunch of gold or something like that. So, and that may not even be very helpful for a lot of people, but there are items that can be used in bartering situations if things go on long enough. And so some of those items to think about would be cigarettes, liquor, ammo, stuff like that, that there would be people that would consider those things very valuable in an emergency situation. So if you can stockpile some of those things, that could be helpful. And then this one really is a lot more important than a lot of people think, and that is networking with your neighbors. So if you're in a situation where there is no transportation and you're just stuck wherever you can walk, right? Then the people who live right around you in walking distance, these are your people. These are the people that you are going to be trying to survive the apocalypse with, right? So it's really good to get to know them, because in that kind of situation, these people, your neighbors are either going to be your homies, or they're going to be your enemies that you might need to protect yourself from when they try to come get your stuff. So it's really good to get to know them. Probably should have been doing that a while ago, but if you haven't done it yet, then go out and knock on some doors. So get to know these people. So anyway, This is my list of how to physically prepare. Physically prepare. It doesn't mean you're a conspiracy theorist. Doesn't mean you're a crazy prepper. It's just being wise. It's just knowing. I'm telling you, we live in a sustainable way, and it gives you a peace of mind. So there's nothing wrong or crazy about trying to start putting some of these things in place. Okay. And if you haven't done any of this yet, don't freak out. Don't be afraid. Just start doing it now. Okay. All right. So, but that's physical. That's physical. But the most important way that you can prepare for anything that happens, for no matter what, is to be spiritually ready, is to have a very close relationship with Jesus Christ, to know how to hear the voice of Jesus, the voice of the Holy Spirit, to know how to be led by God. And one of the ways is this Bible right here. It's very important to know this word, okay? But you also, it's going to be more and more important in these next days, these 4 to 8 years, whatever, however long we're going through stuff. It's going to be very important that you also have a relationship with the Holy Spirit, that you know how to hear the voice of the Holy Spirit. Now, I know if there are any cessationists out there watching this video, they're like, the Bible's all you need. And so I'm telling you, what I'm saying right now, this does not belittle in any way the importance of this book, okay? This Bible does not belittle it, okay? God has given us this. This is the foundation of everything that we believe. Nothing replaces this. But Jesus himself said that we are to worship God in spirit and in truth. He gave us the Holy Spirit to guide us. And so there are going to be times in the coming future, the near future, when you may very well need specific direction from the Holy Spirit for specific things that are happening to you that you're not going to be able to get in this. So by saying this, I am in no way saying that you do not need this Bible. This is very, very important, but it is a foundation. And a lot of cessationists use this Bible as a cage for God. It's not a cage for God. It's the foundation. And he also gave us the Holy Spirit for very important reasons. And I believe that a lot of the reasons why people like Jim Bakker and like me are being attacked for our beliefs in the gifts of the Holy Spirit and for our beliefs in the prophetic giftings is because the enemy is trying to shut down the voice of the Holy Spirit. And I think it's a concerted, very strategic attack. And so it's very, very important that we do not let that happen in our own spirits, in our own lives, that we know how to hear the voice of the Holy Spirit.